Okay, Assalamualaikum and good morning to everyone. Uh, we will be doing a quick review, a quick revision on production planning and execution case study. Now, this is where you are actually going to be executing some of the pre-plannings and also reviewing back on the production of three different type of bicycles. Now, when using this or when executing this case study, it doesn't really monitors the production line when workers start assembling the bicycles. This is just on the system side where you're going to be executing the different data that is needed for executing the production line. This is basically the preparation in terms of what are the different materials, the semi-finished good, the raw material that is needed to be insert inside the production line to produce the finished good. That is three different bicycles. For this case, it's basically deluxe touring bike, three different colors, and you're going to be producing at around 150 bicycles. Now, why do you need to do this? Is basically because one of the reason is your stock is running low after people are buying your bicycles, so you need to produce new ones. But when preparing the production line, you will also need to forecast, which means that you need to basically ramal or in other words, guess. You need to professionally guess how much bicycles that you need to produce on certain months. Now, in terms of for this part here, production planning, we're going to be forecasting monthly. How does the forecast is being done is by inserting some certain value like alpha, beta, gamma, delta data. This will be done during the first step of the case study. From there, you will be shown by the SAP system on the different quantities of bicycles that need to be produced monthly. Now, also this will be based on historical data that is basically starting from April of 2010 to March of 2014. So, when you want to produce a forecast of something, it needs to be based on historical data. Now, those alpha, beta, gamma, and delta inputs, that one I cannot really explain to you further. This is more towards forecasting knowledge. Okay, so let us have a look at the different things that is being done here inside the case study. Now, the scenario, in order to experience the complete manufacturing process, basically before starting the production line, in terms of getting what are the materials needed, how much of the materials needed. So this is the part where your stock of materials that is needed to assemble bicycle is enough. For now, it's basically is going to be, you're going to have 500 different units of each different components of bicycles. So from there, you're going to be using 150 for this case of production line for this exact time stamp. Okay, so there are these rows. There are basically in total 7 different people that is going to be executing this process, not including the people in the production line. Those people who are going to be assemble the bicycles are not listed here as the 7 person. This is just the person who's going to be using the system. So you're going to be involving with people from the material management, product, and also the people from production planning. So, and also it's not being mentioned, but there are going to be people from CEO. Okay, if you notice, I skipping the CEO case study because currently the case study itself involves a lot of financial knowledge. So for me, who is someone who is not having strong knowledge on financial background, I'm not the correct person to be explaining to you or doing revision with you on the controlling part of financial. So this one we can skip for now. So we're going to directly to production planning. So there's going to be around 16 steps that needs to be done. So we need to be preparing with, we need to change a little bit on the material master. Okay, we're going to be going through this particular part here. Okay, now the first step here, you may open this page here when going through the revision. You may stick with this page. I'm going to move on to the different pages that is needed to be executed for each step of the production planning. Okay, now going through change of material master record. This is the part where we're going to be changing the material requirements planning for number 3 and also the forecasting data. This will help in terms of producing the forecasting, the material production, the master production, and also the materials requirements planning. Okay, so here is basically you're going to be changing on the MRP and forecasting for 3 different material. That is DXTR for white, black, and also red color bicycles, deluxe touring bike. So this is going to be a finished goods that is going to be stored inside the Dallas warehouse. So Dallas is our production line warehouse. San Diego is basically on sales. Okay, so here we're going to be changing this data here. So basically this is the part where we're going to be changing on forecasting. Now what does this data is actually representing, I'm not sure, but basically this will be giving impact in terms of forecasting for the production planning that will be represented in the form of graph. Okay, forecast is going to be a few months ahead, depending on which month that we're going to be executing this case study. Okay, afterwards we're going to be doing on step 2. This is going to be seeing on the different individual material that is needed to be producing a single bicycle. Now if you notice, bicycles going to have handles, brake pads, pedals, wheels, so you have all of those different components. So you need to make sure what are the different items that is needed. You need to define the steps, step 1, step 2, step 3, when you want to produce that single bicycle. Okay, now here you may see in terms of the individual steps that is needed to produce a single bicycle. So you're going to be defining the different components here. So basically you're going to step, this is not the step, these are the different items. Well, so the different items that are needed to be producing that single bicycle. So here is a list of different components. So you need the handlebar, the wheel assembly, the gear, the chain, the brake kit, the pedal, and lastly the warranty and also packaging. Warranty document, that is going to be the warranty for the bicycle. The packaging is going to be the packaging. So you look at back at the previous page, these are the steps that is needed to be executed when the bicycle is being assembled. So starting with material staging, taking all the different materials, the raw materials, the semi-finished goods that is needed for a single bicycle, and then attach the seat, attach the handlebar, attach the gear, then the wheels, brake, pedal, testing the bike, and then disassemble so that it can fit inside the packaging. How does it need to be disassembled again? Maybe the tires are needed to be removed. Handles need to be removed. The rest will remain on the bicycle. Depends. So that is change routing. The next part is basically you're going to be putting everything inside a product group. This is just a process just to make sure that you can see the forecast of three different products in a group and in terms of one single forecast. Now, in terms of here, what you're going to be adding is basically the DXTRs. So basically, you're going to be inserting three different bicycles: DXTR1, DXTR2, DXTR3. So inside this case study, you're going to be producing three different bicycles. What happens when you already grouped everything there is basically what I'm going to skip on a few pages here because currently it doesn't show the final output of the operation planning and also the forecasting. So at the end, what you're going to be seeing is basically here. This is a statistical graphical forecast of what is going to be produced. There is the three different bicycles from June to November. If you notice here, this is during the 2018, but for your execution, you're going to be seeing 2021. Okay, so going back, you're going to basically create a sales and operation planning. Now, before this, you define how does the forecast of basically the different variants that is going to be impacting the forecast. Now, here on step 4, you're going to be seeing how much you're going to be defining how much products that's needed to be produced for 12 months. 12 months of sales, so you need to be planning on how much material that is needed. Now, this will be impacting the forecast whereby you're going to be seeing on the different year that is 2010 to 2014 sales. So from there is going to be forecasting the 12-month sales data and how much materials that you're going to be needed and how much sales that you are expecting. Okay, the keyword here, expecting to be executed during the next 12 months, which means that from May until until April next year. So this is the part where you're going to be expecting how much sales that you're going to be executing and how much bicycles that you need to be producing for the next 12 months. Okay, that is how production works. We are not concerning on, okay, there is some concern on the actual execution of those bicycles, but from the part of SAP, you are being tasked to make sure that during the future 12 months sales and production, your materials are enough and your production line will not be on hold. That is the worst case scenario that could happen. What happen if the worst case scenario is basically your production line is not running, which means that you are not producing bicycles. And when you are not producing bicycles, which means that people cannot buy. What happens when people cannot buy? Money is not coming into the company. What happens when money is not coming into the company? You are running on deficit. Whether is it correct or not? Basically, you are running on negative. What does it mean when running on negative? Which means that you need to pay for your staff monthly salary, but bicycles are not selling, so money is not coming in, but still money is going out in terms of the operation of your company. It should be balanced, which means that money needs to come in. You are making profit, but then you are also paying your staff, paying for the production, paying for the materials that are coming in. Those things must be balanced between money coming in and money going out. How do you want to make sure this happens? By making sure that the customer keeps sending money to you. How do you want to make sure customer is keeping sending money to you? You need to make sure that your sales are ready. How do you want to make sure your sales are ready? You need to make sure your product is ready for the sales. This is the process of balancing between products that are ready for the sales, but then you need to make sure that you do not overproduce. This is the task of forecasting. You need to basically produce enough, not actually, yes, it's enough. You need to make sure you produce enough bicycle to meet the demands of your customer for the next 12 months. So that is the main objective of step 1 until step let's have a look at back in terms of this part here. So step 1 until step 9. Step 1 until step 9 is all the process that is to make sure that you have enough bicycles to be sell for the next 12 months. So that is quite, you can do this review. I'm guessing you can do this review of this production planning every day, every month, every week, but it's not being mentioned here inside the process. So from step 1 until step 9, you are basically preparing the company for the next 12 months of sales. Okay, sales of what? Sales of bicycles. Okay, so assembly, just a method of displaying the forecast in a much more meaningful manner. And then step 4, you are creating your planning, how much material that you need, how much bicycle that is going to be produced each month. So in terms of here, you're going to be forecasting this much bicycles that is going to be selling and needed to be produced for each month. So if you notice here, 316, this is during, if you notice here, this is on April. As I mentioned earlier, the forecasting will be depending from data of April 2010 until March 2014. So basically, this case study is shown here that this planning is being produced on April 2014. So basically, this is how much bicycle that you need to produce during future months, on April, on May, on June, on July. So basically, if you look at this screen here, this case study is being executed on April of 2014. So basically, on your screen later, if you do this, it's basically going to show you maybe different value, because currently you are executing it. If you are not doing it yet and you plan to doing this case study by today, is going to be starting on May 2021. So let us look at the forecast of how much bicycle that you need to be producing each month. This is going to be interesting. Okay, so this is basically showing you in terms of graph when is the sales going to be peaking. But if you notice here, this is depending on your constant sales for each month. It doesn't really concern on any abnormal sales that is going to be happening. Okay, what did I mean by abnormal sale is basically, let's say for example, like the trend of people buying or starting with the hobby of cycling, starting from last year execution of movement control order. Suddenly the sales of bicycle increases. So if you look at this forecast here, it doesn't really, this part here, we maybe didn't consider on the different emerging trends that is happening on each year. So I'm guessing there's going to be a time where the trend dies and the number of sales of bicycles is going to be lower than expected for the next coming year. So here you have the different legends that is going to be displayed. So the next part here, after you have already defined your sales operation planning in terms of here this part here, basically this step in terms of sales and operation planning, how much sales that you are expecting, how much operation that you are expecting in terms of your production. Before this can be defined as the final trend of the next 12 months of production and sales, you need to go through a few steps. That is, first, you need to be transferring it to demand management. This is basically you're going to be seeing how much material that is needed. Okay, create sales and operation planning is on the production and also sales. But before you can execute on operation and sales, you need to make sure that your material is enough. So we need to see on demand management. This is the part where you're going to make sure that the raw material and also semi-finished material that is needed to produce a bicycle is enough. So this is the part where the material management comes in. Okay, so you need to have a look that here in terms of this is how much you're supposed to be selling bicycles, and then you need to recheck back with your stock. So you review back here. So this is the number of stock. This is just a review whether the number of bicycle is it real, almost realistic, because currently this is forecasting. So you are determining whether this number is it okay or not. Is it too much? Is it too little? Or is it just nice? Okay. We are not really expert on this, so basically we are depending on ACP to see how much bicycles that is needed. So basically here you see until 2019 you need 250 bicycles on April. Now the next part is basically master production scheduling. This is the part where you're going to be confirming, similar to the part where you are doing sales. You have inquiry, quotation, sales, a few steps before you confirm on the sale. For the production part, you also have a few steps before you confirm this is how much material that is needed, this is how much bicycles that is going to be produced on the coming months. So you run you run master production schedule. This is going to be confirming that this is the number of bicycles that is going to be produced. Before this, everything was planned. But when you execute this process here, step 7, this is to finalize. This is to confirm, okay, we already confirmed, next month, this much. The coming month, this much. The coming month, this much. So that is what step 7 is. You want to confirm on how much bicycles that is needed to be produced. This is just step 8. Step 8 is just to review back whether your stock is enough. So let us have a look at the XTR. Currently here, you're going to be seeing 212 going to be sold, 212 needs to be produced, 150 need to be produced, 150 is going to be sold, 161 going to be produced, 161 is going to be sold. This is all just forecast, but still this is already a forecast that already being confirmed. Okay. If you have any question, you may raise questions later through the WhatsApp group, our lab WhatsApp group. Share your questions. Okay, So what happens next? You're going to convert all those planning into a production order. This is where the starting of your production. This is the part where the first step is basically you're going to be, before you start your production line, which means that before people start to assemble the bicycle, you need to convert the plan that you have planned during step 1 until step 7 into your production line. So you're going to be seeing that you're going to be producing 200 yes, you're going to be producing 212 bicycles. This is what during May. So basically for now is going to be, you're going to be producing 150 bicycles getting ready to be produced. Now what happens next is basically production line is ready. Now you need to move all the necessary items that is needed to assemble a single bicycle. Okay, not totally one single bicycle. So basically from the stock requirements list just now, we see that you need to produce 150 bicycles. So you need to move here, step 10, you need to move all the different components from their storage location. This is what, if I'm not mistaken, this is IWM case 1. You need to take out the item. Yes. IWM case 1 is basically inserting item. IWM case 3 is taking out item, but IWM case 3 is because of sale. Now here is basically because of production. Taking out the materials from your storage location and then moving it to the staging area before the production line. So after the materials are being moved by the people from warehouse, you here, the receiving clerk from the production line, going to be seeing in one location a lot of boxes containing the all the different components that is needed to be producing 150. Okay. So basically here there are 500 pieces that is going to be put inside on the staging area. So basically before that, you just want to execute a receive good, which means that yes, we receive goods, you can minus it from the inventory. This is the part that we're going to be using. So the next thing what is happening is that they're going to be ordering more materials for the next production. Okay, so you receive the material, receive good order. So how much quantity that you how much is the quantity is 500. So this is the total item that is needed, but I'm guessing this is not going to be enough. This is something wrong here, because currently you're going, how many tires do you need for a bicycle? 2. So if you have 500 frames, so you're going to be needing 1000 tires. So I'm guessing maybe this comes in a pair. Maybe it's not single bicycles, not single wheel. I'm guessing that comes in a pair. Okay, we will see it later. Okay, so the next part here, what happens next is basically step 11 is basically good issued. What happened here? So basically after you have received goods and then you suddenly good issued. So in terms of step 10 and step 11, this is where the physical hard work is being executed. This is the part where people basically factory workers, we're going to be starting to assemble the bicycle. So basically after step 10 you receive good, people are going to be starting to assemble the bicycles. After the bicycles are being tested, being packaged, so what happens is basically all the different bicycles that is being packaged need to be moved back inside your inventory. Okay, sorry. This is not basically true. Skip on that. It's not basically need to be moved back into your storage location. It needs to be moved. Start with the production line. So basically, after receive goods, yes, you have already received goods. You're going to issue the goods to the production line. So from there, the production line started. So step 10 is receiving. The people at the front of the production line receiving it. So imagine it like you putting it inside a machine that is assembling a bicycle. So good receive, the next part is good issue. You're going to move the item into your machinery. You're going to move your item to the people who are going to be assemble the bicycle. So this is the part where after you do this good issue, people are going to take the frame, assemble the handle, assemble the chains, assemble the gear, assemble the chains, assemble the brake, assemble the wheel. Test it, put in the warranty document, and then package the thing. So these are the different things that is needed to be done. Now, you may have a question, I'm also not sure. Okay, 150, 100, okay, you need to calculate it because currently we need to produce 3 different bicycles. In terms of here, you notice this is 150. So this is just for red. The rest is basically for white and also black. So in total, all those 3 different bicycles is going to be totaling up with 500 bicycles. Okay, so from here you need to review the production order status, whether is it done or not. After is done, these are the different status. Is it being released? Is it done? Good movement already post? Is it already being put inside their correct storage location? And etc. Okay, next is basically after the production is done, you see that the last 500 bicycle is out of the production line, is finished, is being packaged. So you just confirm that the bicycles are done. So what happens when the first bicycle is being assembled until the final bicycle is being assembled is not the main concern of SAP. That is the part where it's involved human aspect of the process. So after the 500 bicycles are done, then you confirm in the system that the production line can be halted, and we already produced 500 bicycles. When does it being produced? When does the 500 last bicycle being produced? You can confirm here inside the system. Okay, what happens next? You receive the goods. Basically, you receive 500 bicycles. So here you need to move the bicycles to the correct storage location, that is FG00, into your inventory. So you just review back on the 2 final steps. Basically, you just want to review back whether the costing for producing those 500 bicycles, is it correct or not? Is there any plus minus costing that happened during production? So you review back, look at here, currently total cost, currently in terms of here, there is this total of how much cost that is occurred to the production of those bicycles. And then you just review back in terms of here on step 16 that there is a variant, just a little bit. Okay, so it's just making sure that from your forecast, the plan, from the actual, the execution, and also how much is the difference between what has already been planned from step 1 until step 7, and also what is already being executed from step 9 until step 14. So those are the things that is being done inside production planning, because currently you need to plan, you need to execute, and you need to review back. Those are the three main core of production planning. We're going to be looking at the data later during the lecture on tomorrow's lecture session. So basically, this is a review case study for production planning. Okay, if you have any question, please raise it through our WhatsApp group. Okay, thank you very much.